Welcome to my latest experiment. This is a big one, the one I've been waiting for all my life.
What is it?
Try to imagine all life as you know it stopping instantaneously and every molecule in your body exploding at the speed of light.
Oh my God.
The cream will rise to the top, oh yeah.
And I am the voice of the voiceless.
And there is no one that does it better.
The Guy and Harley podcast, streaming all over your face.
Perhaps that was the most important part.
Can you dig it? Can you dig it? Can you dig it?
Pigville on the internet. How should I begin this? I'm just so offended. How am I even mentioned by all these fucking beginners? I'm so appalled. I might buy the mall just to show people how much I have in store. Welcome to the Guy and Harley podcast. I'm Guy Pigden.
And I'm Harley Neville. Which talented lyricist was that one?
That was a young man by the name of Jay-Z.
Oh, is he one of those new guys, is he?
He is.
New kid on the scene. Oh,
he
yeah?
is. Welcome along to the 24th episode.
If you're keeping track.
Which I am. Which means that we've cracked over half a year on this podcast.
Well, there's 52 weeks in a year.
Yeah.
So that would be 26.
Oh.
So
I take that back.
Good maths, Guy. Good maths.
Take that back.
That's that Logan Park high school education shining on through.
That was not exactly, I made a miscalculation there. We're not halfway through it all.
Couple more weeks.
But we're close. That's all I'm saying. We're close.
That's all I'm saying.
But welcome along. This is a film making podcast. This is a podcast about our lives. Two young talents up and coming in the industry, using the term young and up and coming loosely.
Using the term young and coming loosely.
We're here to talk about all the shit that's been happening in our lives and what's been going on with you.
Starting with me, are we?
Well, let's start off right off the bat with you are a big TV star at the moment.
Yes, my latest commercial, the Co-op Bank, is out and it is seems to have been quite successful.
Very funny. People
seem to like it. It's had lots of people commenting online and in real life saying they've seen it.
So basically you can see it on YouTube now if you look it up. What do they have to type in?
So if you look up Co-op Bank, it's in their nature because I think that's kind of the name of the the theme.
The thread is basically that.
Or Co-op Bank, meet Jeff the Snake.
Right. Jeff is your pet snake.
Yes.
In the ad.
Yes.
It's a good ad. It's very funny. You do not look the greatest at it.
No. Well, it's not the most flattering of commercials. I don't look attractive. I look kind of just old, a little bit chunky.
Definitely fat. Definitely fatter than I feel like the way that your maybe head was positioned, when you're inside the snake, there's a bit where you're inside the snake, that's not a flattering angle.
No. Well, none of it was flattering.
But then you're also, when you're just leaning on the bed, your face was looking fat.
Yeah. Well, that's a problem. Straight on the face, man. That's where the weight gain goes.
But I did wonder because I was like, his face doesn't really normally...
that fat.
It's taken in a much more, a wider circular... sort of, the whole thing is...
Well, I mean...
Is it the lens they were using? Or
I'll tell you what it comes down to. It comes down to a few things. One, I, today, am the oldest and fattest I've ever been. That's a factor. That's a fact, and it's a factor. That's all true. Yeah. Two, I don't normally rock the receded hairline with the clean-shaven face.
Yeah.
Which I feel like that is probably not my most flattering of styles. For me.
Yeah, so that is basically...
The
bald head, but completely clean-shaven.
But hair on the sides,
so just a...
Old man hair on the sides.
A ring of hair around the side of his head.
If you could picture Homer Simpson in real life, that's kind of what we're talking about here. That's kind of what we're talking about.
And that's the option that they wanted for this ad.
That's what they chose. And then worse still was that no makeup.
Yeah, which was weird. We had a brief discussion about this. Now, this is a huge ad. This ad probably cost, let's just guess, but between 50,000 plus, right?
Yeah.
Probably quite a bit more than that.
Well, you'd have to guess more because, a good chunk of that went to the star, So, a good chunk of that went in my fee. Like, I reckon it'd be way more than that, actually.
Yeah, realistically.
Probably 100.
Let's just say you're taking 10% of the fee, then it's got to be much more than that.
Yeah.
But you had this strange situation.
Well, see, the thing was, like, I was quite shocked because, here I was on set and it was a real set. It was, they had all the bits and pieces. They were sparing no expense.
Yep.
The food was great. There was like,
What did you have?
Put me on the spot. I can't quite remember.
Did you go dessert as well?
Yeah, I had, of course. Of course I had dessert. You think I looked that chunky on camera by mistake, bro? Yeah, of course I had dessert. And I had to wash it down with a couple of Cokes.
They're like, when is the actor going to stop eating?
Well, do you know? Well, in fact, we told you. Remember when I had my audition, the character description was a guy with a chunky guy with the skin the color of boiled chicken. That was the character description of the role that I auditioned for. Now I see why I got it. Now I see what they saw. At the time, I was like, this doesn't fit me at all. Now I see what they saw. And that's just, I've just got to accept that now. Now I'm going for those roles.
You're full on, you have like fallen right off the leading man spectrum into the full on character actor mode.
Now I'm the chunky fat loser. That's the new thing. I'm chunky fat dads. That's what I'm moving into. That's my new niche. Chunky fat dads. Chunky real life-ish dads. But so this makeup situation. So they didn't spare any expense. Lunch was good. Everything was good.
Yeah.
And then so I've been waiting around on set for a little bit, and then I went into I got called on set by the AD, and I was like oh shit, well I haven't been through makeup yet. I've been sitting around for a couple of hours. I've been put in my pajamas, but I've got no makeup on. And so I said to the AD, I said, oh, I haven't been through makeup yet. And he was like, oh, you haven't? Oh, I'll call them up. And he was like, yeah, makeup. We're going to put some makeup on the lead guy. And the makeup lady was like, no. She was like, no. Just not going to do that.
It's fucking bizarre.
I was like, that is weird because we're doing a close-up. Like, one of the first shots we did was a close-up. And I'd been there since like 7 in the morning.
You looked tired.
And the night before was the opening night of I Survived a Zombie Holocaust, the official opening night. Yeah. Now, I didn't party because I'm a responsible professional, but, still, I was up reasonably late.
Yeah.
And and it was a close up, and I was like, what the fuck's going on? Like, I've got a hideously scarred face, like, I don't know if anyone's noticed, but I've got like 4 scars on my face.
It's kind of funny, like, because also in the zombie film, the way you're introduced is by a bunch of extreme close-ups,
including an extreme close-up of my scar.
Extreme scar close-up, and it's like, I wonder if people think, like, did they give him scars to like ugly him up a little bit? Or did what are
or is he just naturally that ugly? Does he just have those ugly scars?
Why are those ugly scars
on
there?
his face?
They're a bit distracting. Now I sometimes watch that, like when I watched that in the cinema.
Yeah,
I was like, they're a little bit distracting.
Those giant scars
are a little bit distracting.
Maybe I shouldn't have cast Harley. Maybe I shouldn't have cast my best friend.
I guess it's okay.
Why does Wesley have big scars on his face?
Well, I think that I'm not sure.
Birth defect.
How he would have got those exactly.
Birth defect.
People don't really have scars from, unless they
could be
have
some sort of scar,
cleft palate, but it's not really. That's not where the scars are.
No.
But yeah, so no makeup for you on that ad, on this 100,000 plus ad.
Yeah,
no makeup for the lead actor,
and it's playing heaps on TV too,
and it's in heavy rotation.
And it's like it's on Vimeo and it's on YouTube, and I think it's playing as a pre-roll before videos on YouTube, or if it's not, it will be.
And on the one hand, you can be very proud of yourself because you got this ad. It's a good ad. It's a cool ad. You're very funny in it. On the other hand, you look terrible. And everyone's seeing you looking terrible. Like, you know, what do you think people's reactions are when they see that ad? And they're like, God, what is Harley's doesn't look great.
He's really let himself go. But to be honest, all you need to do is look at my Facebook to see how much I've let myself go. You know, like, I don't think people are shocked anymore. You know, like maybe people that haven't seen me for years.
Right.
You know, I mean, this is just the new normal, bro.
This is the new me, bro. Just accept it. Well, yeah, but I kind of think you don't really look like that in your Facebook.
No.
Like you're doing that ad.
Sometimes. Yeah, I guess. So, yeah, that's a shame, but I guess also the other thing too is all of our YouTube videos, I mean, they're hardly flattering, aren't they?
You know, there was a funny moment when we were watching the zombie film, because we just had recently, we had another wonderful screening, Tug screening in Auckland, where we sold, I think it was
149
tickets. Almost cracked the 150.
Yeah.
But, you know, so it was like a very full screening, you know, very appreciative. It was a great cinema.
Yeah, it was actually one of my favourite screenings.
Yeah, so I wasn't happy about the sound. The audio was mixed too low.
Right.
That was my beef with it.
Right. Didn't bother me.
Also, I don't think they were playing it in the correct aspect ratio.
Right.
So there was a little bit on the edges.
That was missing.
Yeah, that was missing.
Right.
So, you know, it's a couple mild.
Right. Oh, well, I mean, I really enjoyed it. It was a great screening. It was probably our final screening in New Zealand, cinema screening, or at least Auckland. And it was really good. Like, good laughs, good turnout. And everyone hung out afterwards. And, you know, we did like a podcast with these other guys called the Podfellas.
Yeah, well, they're like the collective group, the Podfellas. But the podcast we were on was Neil Before Pod.
Right. Okay.
Puns.
Right. Got it.
Well, we'll get to that in a second.
All right.
But,
yeah.
you know, what I thought was so funny about that screening was that, you know, like when you're hairy, like there's a scene where you got your top off and you're real hairy. And everyone's like, whoa, whoa. And I gave you a pat on the knee and we had a little chuckle. But it was like, you know, that's just your hair.
Yeah.
You know, that's just there.
It's just me. It's
like,
there right now.
Everyone is laughing at that.
Yeah.
As if it's a joke.
Yeah.
But it's your reality.
Yeah. Yeah, I live
that
with
we
this.
simply committed to film.
Yeah. It's Angie's reality too.
Yeah.
You know? So,
and I'm not sure how she deals with it, to be honest.
Well, you know, she's a very tolerant woman.
She's a trooper.
She is. She's with me for my personality, I think.
Yeah, the jokes. So anyway, but while we're on the subject of your hair as well, I thought we'd debut or play one of our favourite segments. Are you ready?
Yeah.
The troll hole. Now, we have actually doubled our podcasting audience in a matter of days.
Have we?
Yes, because we've been uploading our old podcast to YouTube.
Right, yes.
Where they get like sort of another, you know, 50 plus views.
Yeah, oh, easy. I think it's...
And, you know, you combine that with our original 50 plus listenership.
Yeah.
And we've doubled.
We have. I didn't really think about that. I didn't really think about that.
Onwards and upwards, baby.
Yeah. Great.
So, you know, that's good. That's working out for us. So now we're, you know, putting those on those online. But I was just having a look at that.
Yeah.
And I kind of stumbled down some of the comments for some of our other videos.
Yeah.
Because I don't really check the videos that often. And I was just looking at one, and we have an episode where, you know, again, I'm not saying that we repeat our jokes over and over again and have no new ideas, but there is a episode of the web show, The Project, where you take your top off and everyone comments on how hairy you are. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying we have literally one go-to joke that we do over and over again, but that just happened to be what I saw.
But we've used my hair as a comic crutch very regularly.
Yes. And anyway, so I just wanted to read some of these comments because it was very interesting because there was highs, there was lows. Mm-hmm. So here I'm going to read a couple that I found. Here's one. English people are so fucking hairy and ugly! Exclamation point. Mm-hmm. That was one. Here's another one. Oh my god, that's the Sasquatch! Triple exclamation point. Mm-hmm. Some hair is in strategic places is masculine, and according to some people's opinion, but not mine, even hot. Mm-hmm. But when your back looks like a carpet, well, I better not say.
Well, you just did,
You
motherfucker.
just did, lady.
You
just did. I'm pretty sure you did say something there. Here's a. I thought he was wearing some kind of new age shirt material when he took off his clothes. Lol, man fur.
Ha.
Now here we go. Here we move up. A little more positive here. Yep, the bald guy has a cute butt.
Mm-hmm. So I'm talking about.
If he kept his shirt on,
Oh.
I could help him out.
So basically, he's saying if I keep my shirt on, he will happily sodomize me.
Yes.
That's what that commenter is saying. What was his name?
No, he might have been saying because, you know, in this you get a bit of an erection, so he could have been saying that he was going to jerk you off.
Well, he says I've got a cute butt. If he kept his shirt on, I'd help him out.
Yeah, but maybe he was helping you out with your erection.
Right.
You know, that's ambiguous.
I'm pretty sure that
He's
my
mean-
butt has nothing to do with my erection. I'm pretty sure he wants to sodomize me.
Possibly. That's definitely a possibility.
As long as I keep my shirt on.
Yeah. So you know how to stay safe out
well,
there. Harley Neville knows how to
Stay
stay
safe.
safe in jail. He's just got to take
my
his shirt off.
No, because that's the thing. There are a lot of beer lovers out there
That's
as
true.
well. Like, let's be honest.
Well, here we go. Here's a good one. The body here is amazing. Mm-hmm. A lot of people just want to cuddle and pet him. Mm-hmm. Angie,
she's the only one. She's the only one that gets to do that.
And then we had because some people legitimately thought it was a documentary. It's shot in a kind of a mockumentary fashion. So you could maybe, if you were really fucking dumb, make that confusion.
And people do.
And some people did. And so here's one irate person who's on your side. So stupid. The man is hairy. So be it. It is sexy. Of course, it's the special effect. One can detect the jealousy and inadequacy of less manly immediately. And that girl, what right has she to slap the man? It's the most natural thing to get a hard on with all the grinding. If she wants to be prudish, don't be an actress. She should feel complimented that the man has a hard on. Imagine her grinding him away and he remains, quotations, down. What does it say of her sexiness?
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So she should be flattered, is what he's saying.
Yeah.
Now, the thing is, in the scene, you know, I kiss a girl, I take off my shirt and I kiss a girl on a film set, and then I get a boner.
Impromptu boner.
And
She slaps
she
you.
freaks out, slaps me, and runs away. And that's what where the comedy is mined from.
Yeah. Both your hairiness and the impromptu erection.
Loosely based on real events.
Yeah.
From a sitcom that Guy and I shot.
This one's good.
I got a semi.
I'd suck that penis and bring it down.
Yeah.
That's from Sven Larsson.
You see why I'm such a confident guy? You see why I have so much confidence? It's because I go on the internet and, you know, I just know if I want a blowjob, it's there.
And, you know, just a classic, lol, he got a boner.
Yeah, so that's good. Good.
So that has been another segment. So yeah, that's what I just stumbled across.
Yeah, so here's the thing about that. Basically, most of that is body shaming. You know, bringing me down, just attacks on my physical appearance. This is what I put up with every day on the fucking internet. And then the ones that are compliments.
Yeah.
Now I'm not complaining about those compliments.
Sure.
But they all come from sleazy men that like beer lovers that want to take advantage of me.
Yeah.
So
Sexually.
So as we're clear. You know, like, so I do feel positive about those comments compared to the other ones, but I do also feel like a piece of meat, a piece of meat that fell on the floor and got all hairy.
So let's not. Got a lot of hair stuck to it.
So yeah,
So you know, let's not forget that guys are being objectified.
yeah.
And Harley's in the middle of that.
Yeah,
right
how about
now.
that? How about
so,
that?
So you know, let's not fly the feminism flag too high.
Yeah.
You know, because it goes both ways, all right, peeps?
Exactly. You know, yeah, really, I do get objectified. Happens all the time on Facebook from the beer lovers.
Exactly. So, you know, it's not all women have got it tough, but, you know, sometimes us guys have it tough too.
Well, just for the record, I encourage all you beer lovers to continue because they're actually our most active fan base.
Yeah.
They comment on all our
And
shit
watch our stuff.
and
It's
actually
really good.
follow us on Facebook and stuff. So, hey,
We love you.
Hey, boys, keep tuning in.
So yeah, we did do a podcast, Neil Before Pod. Did a podcast after that screening.
Yep.
And now we've entered into a new world, the New Zealand podcast community. You know, before we were outcasts socially and otherwise, and now we've been welcomed in with welcome arms by the New Zealand podcasters. And so now, we did that interview with them. I haven't listened to that one, but I have listened to some of the Podfellas podcast at Podfellas. And he's done some very insightful interviews. He did a fantastic interview with Lee Hart, you know, that guy, where he sort of talks about his comedy and stuff like that. And basically he's doing interviews where he's sort of actually talking about interesting, meaningful things as opposed to fluff pieces. So much in the same vein as Mark Maron's What the Fuck podcast in America. Similar type of thing, like in-depth interviews with interesting people talking about interesting things.
Is this the guy that interviewed us?
Yeah. Well, no, he was one of them.
Right.
Will was one of them.
Right.
But we weren't on that one. We were on the other one.
Got it.
So, yeah, just shout out to them. And we've got a couple of listener questions. So why don't we jump into a few of those?
All right. Okay, we can do that for sure. So,
Yep.
got some goodies here actually.
Yep. Each week we like to throw it out to you guys to say, hey, you got some questions for us? We're very smart. We're very articulate. We have very interesting opinions on everything, and we will solve your life for you. And so this is, you know, some of the questions.
So I asked the internet to give us some topics slash questions, as I always do. And this week, some people actually responded. Brian Collins said, I might be inclined to tell you about the time I had a zit on my cock. I was only 15 at the time, and a girl started sucking. Then she noticed it. I don't want to go into further details, but yes, it was a very embarrassing experience.
Not really a question, but thank
Not
you,
really
Brian.
a question. It happened in Dunedin, by the way. Lol.
Of course it happened in Dunedin.
Of course it happened in Dunedin. The cold gives you
The
zits on your
cocksucking
penis.
capital of New Zealand, Dunedin.
Is it?
I don't know.
I don't think it is. Or if it is, I missed
I don't
out.
know. It's full of fast and loose women. That's all I'm saying.
Right. Yeah, well, so thanks for that, Brian, for that story.
Thank you for sharing.
You got anything similar, Guy?
Well,
Anything like that? You got any comments on that?
I've never had that situation personally. So no, I mean it's interesting. I kind of want to know what happened when she noticed it. Like,
well, presumably she freaked the fuck out.
Did she
and
stop? I mean,
assumed. Well, presumably.
and also, was he hoping to sneak that and just zero acknowledgement of it?
Yeah. What was his? What,
and
you didn't notice?
receive the blowjob?
What's the deal, Brian? You didn't notice, or what?
You knew, Brian, and you didn't warn anyone.
Yeah. So.
You know, so why did you think you were going to get away with it?
Yeah. Well, yeah. So you really need to update us there, Brian, on what happened next.
And then we can update the listeners.
Yeah. Now, Gordon Parkhurst, longtime supporter, he says, I accidentally committed incest once.
Again, not a question.
Not really a question. These are just topics. Just things for us to talk about. And then a couple of comments later, he said, oh, and I made out with a priest. Not at the same time.
Interesting. I can believe the priest thing.
Yeah.
Because priests are, you know, have
predatory
hidden history.
They
often.
do.
And, you know, something goes wrong with you in your brain if you are told that you can't have sex your whole life.
Yeah, well...
Something in your brain just flips, a switch flips, and you're prone to you become, like... Because, you know, if you think about it, we're all perverts, right? To one degree or another. but we get to have sex and we get to have sexual relations and everything's fine, and that's how we get to sort of exercise our demons, right? Exorcise our demons,
yes,
right? And so it's all good, but the priest with the no outlet and the no sex, it just builds up until you get until
you like little boys,
until you flip into a pedophile.
No, look, here's the thing, right? I am a logical thinker, right? So let's just say that God is real for a second.
Okay.
Not logical, but let's just say God's real. Now, if he wanted... Now, you've got man and you've got woman. He created them, right? Now, if he wanted a third type of person on the earth that didn't have sex, well, then he would have created man, woman, and priest. And priests would be born with no genitals, and they'd get sent straight into the convent, and that would be where they go, and that would make sense. And you go, okay, well, yeah, all right, cool. This is what God wanted for me.
Sucks to be them though, when they become conscious and they're like, wait a second, I'm a priest.
Yeah.
Oh no,
man.
I'm never gonna do any of that stuff.
Well, and I'm not going to procreate. But it just doesn't make any sense to me. And of course, if you're going to take a guy and lock him away somewhere and tell him not only that he can't have sex, but that he can't whack off. He can't even whack off because God's watching him.
And he can't have impure thoughts.
And exactly. So he can't even sit there and have a fantasy.
Yep.
A fantasy no hands wank, a mind wank.
You can't even have a mind wank?
Yeah, so what's the deal there? Like, of course, if you're then going to surround him. Now, I don't think that having sex with nobody is going to make you attracted to little boys, but surely, it becomes an authority thing. He's got power over these boys, and I think that's where it comes from. It's like they're so frustrated, they've got power over these boys that they're constantly surrounded by all day, and one thing leads to another. It doesn't make any sense. What kind of parent would send your kid to go and live with a bunch of men? A bunch of strange men. Like if you send your kid out to live with, live in a Catholic school, or something like that. Like honestly, why would you do that? Under any other circumstances, you'd say, so you want me to go and send my little child to go and live with like all of these men, these priests?
Yeah,
I'm not. That's outrageous. I'm not going to do it. But because they're priests, for some reason, they're terrible parents. That's what they are.
So I'm hoping, Gordon, that when you made out with a priest, you were of an appropriate age.
Yeah, well, that's a question, Gordon. Let us know for next week. We'll delve into sexual abuse.
I'm assuming when you say you committed incest by accident, is you hooked up with your cousin.
Yeah,
right.
No judging. No judging on our behalf.
Yeah.
You got any hot cousins, guy?
Kissing cousins.
Got any hot cousins, guy?
Yeah.
I've never met your cousins.
I think she is my cousin, and she's definitely hot.
Yeah. I've got like 3 or 4 hot cousins.
Yeah. So it can happen. There's risks out there, guys.
Yeah, could happen. Although, how do you accidentally do it? You didn't know it was your cousin, or you just you mean accidentally in the sense that you didn't plan it, but one thing led to another.
We'll have some updates from these two people by the next episode, I'm sure.
One more listener topic.
Yep.
Comes from Sam Fiddis.
Yeah. Fiddy.
When I was around 14 or 15, the school I went to had this outside activity day, an outside activity day. Basically, one of the activities was a water slide. It was my group's turn on it, and after my first go, I kind of skidded across the grass and thought I burnt my ass. It bloody hurt. My ass still hurt when I got home. So I took a look in the mirror, and there it was, a massive, deep, open cut from one side of my right cheek to the other. Turns out there was glass at the end of the slide. I went straight over it. Couldn't sit down for about 2 months. Seriously, had to take a pillow to school every day to be able to sit down. I still have the scar. So, not a question, but another topic.
Brutal.
So, my question is, how would you not notice, like the blood running down your leg?
Because you would have been bleeding quite profusely.
Presumably. And also, he had to go all the way home, right? So, you had to be sitting on the bus or, whatever. Yeah. Also, after the slide, right, you put your pants on. How did you not notice that? That's my question for you, Sam. But yeah, Got any graphic injuries, Guy?
Well, I mean, obviously I've broken a few bones here and there, and I did have a large facial reconstructive surgery at one point.
Ah, yes.
But, it wasn't gruesome to the exterior. It was just, what my face was broken on the inside. So, and really I was quite lucky. Because I didn't injure, I just received a concussion, but they didn't damage my brain.
Lucky.
So yeah, but no sort of like brutal cuts. Although we can talk. You've got your scars, which we talked about. How did you get those?
Well, my main one, or my most prominent ones, are on my face. That was 13 stitches from a dog bite.
When I was fully bit your face.
Yeah, well, I was 11, and I'd lived around dogs my whole life. And then I went to a party with my dad. I'd just gone to Australia, and he took me out to a party. And I was in the backyard, and there was a dog there, and I'd been petting it all night. Like, it was all good. It seemed nice. It was a German Shepherd, and it seemed all good. And I had actually owned a couple of German Shepherds before this. In my life, I'd had a couple of German Shepherds, and then yeah, I've been sort of patting it all night, not like riding it or pulling its tail or anything like that. Yeah. Just sort of hanging out with it a little bit, and then
nice.
And then right at the end of the night, Dad was like, "All right, let's go." And I'd only been in Australia for like a week, literally a week, and I didn't know my dad before that. So it was like a brand new kind of father-son situation. Yeah. And then he says, "Let's go," and I say, "Sweet as." And then I went up to the dog, and I just gave him one last pat, and I was like, "All right, see you later," and like didn't jump on it or anything, and then it just turned around and went, bit me in the face.
So did it
grabbed my right cheek? So now I've got a scar on my right cheek, like two scars on my right cheek from the top and bottom jaw of the dog.
So did the dog jump to bite you in the face?
Well, I was only 11,
did you
so
kneel down and then it kind of go for your face?
No, he jumped. It jumped
on. So you did a jumping lunge onto your face.
So he was standing there, and I came up beside him, sort of thing, and gave him a pat. Like, see you later, mate. And then I was only short, and he was quite a big dog, and he just turned around and sort of jumped and bit me in the face.
Now, when he bit you in the face, did he latch on and hold it, or was it just a bite and then pull away, and you're like, "Oh, my fucking face"?
Yeah, it was like a bite and then a release, and some people came running over, yelling and yahooing and chasing the dog away.
Yeah,
and it didn't really hurt, just felt like it tingled.
Did you cry?
No, bro.
What a boss!
What a boss! Nah, man, it was like my fucking 5th scar as well. I was used to it.
Yeah.
And then so it just kind of tingled. But I had just read somewhere or seen somewhere something saying that, if a dog bites you and it doesn't like pierce your skin, it's not a big deal, right? This seems like common sense now, but like, I was 11, and I was like, oh yeah, well, that makes sense, because, sometimes you're mucking around with a dog and they kind of bite you friendly,
Yeah.
And without piercing the skin. But it was like, but if you see blood, well, it's a problem because they've got grubby mouths and, they can get infections and shit.
Yeah. It's worse with cats, actually.
Right.
Your dogs, you do need to, presumably you have a tetanus shot.
Yeah, I guess so.
But it's much more risky with cats.
Right.
The dirty little fuckers.
Those dirty little half into hell, half hair cunts.
Dirty little imps. Those beasts. Those spawns of Satan.
And so anyway, this friggin' I reached up and I saw all this blood come on my hand, and I was like, ooh, that's bad. And then I went to hospital.
So did you go straight there to the hospital?
Direct to hospital with my dad. Like, Dad just drove me.
Yep.
And then I got 13 stitches in my face. And then, like, I just started a new school, right?
You look like fucking Frankenstein.
I look like fucking...
Frankenstein's monster.
I look like Frankenstein's monster. And worse, I had a New Zealand accent.
And that's how you started.
And that's how I started school in Australia.
Curiously, don't have any friends from back in those times. They haven't stuck with you.
There's one guy, actually, Hugh Munro. He's on my Facebook. He might even listen to this.
Curiously, move back.
There's a couple of people.
Zealand.
Madeline North. She's on my Facebook. She might be listening. Yeah, so yeah, that was that's how I got that one dog bite, and then it was so bad. Like I had to, because my face swelled up,
Yep.
really huge. I had this really huge swollen face with like these disgusting bloody stitches in
Yep.
them. And I had to go to school or just old
Could
munter
probably
face.
did you like? But was it sore to like talk and stuff, or was it? All right?
I don't remember it being too bad.
Right.
But yeah, old munch face.
Yeah.
Munch face, new boy Kiwi.
Also, surely, like, everyone's first thing to you would have been like, "Hey, what happened to your face, bro?" And you would have been, "Oh,
Mate.
what happened to your face, mate?
Oh, what happened to your face, mate?
Oh, give a look at that." Anyway, I'm not going to get into these Australian impersonations with the master of Australian impersonations right next to me. It would be ridiculous. And bring a knife to a gunfight, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You literally played an Australian in an ad.
Yeah, I did.
So, don't mess. But, so they must have asked you 500 times all day as well, what happened to your face?
Yeah, well...
Which would have been a bit annoying.
In between teasing me about my New Zealand accent.
And your shorts.
No, because they all wore short shorts. That's
Oh,
where I
right.
picked
That's
up
where
the habit.
you picked up the bad habits.
Yeah, they all wore... they teased me about my pants.
You were wearing pants at the time? You can't keep it up?
I couldn't win. So I went to Australia, right? I got teased for having a Kiwi accent and wearing pants.
Yep.
And then I came back from Australia 2 years later and I got teased...
Having mastered the Australian accent.
I got teased.
And shorts.
I got teased for wearing shorts and having an Australian accent. I just couldn't win, I just couldn't win. But I'll tell you one thing about my scars, or those ones anyway, is that I kind of got lucky really, because it happens that they sort of fit right in my smile line, which is quite fortunate. I feel like it makes them a little bit less obtrusive on my face.
Well, also when you have a beard, they're really completely
Yeah, and I
imperceptible.
often do have a beard now, although that's not why.
No. So now...
But anyway,
yeah.
Sam, we've all got scars, bro. Thanks for telling us.
At least you've got yours on your butt, where most people don't see.
Yeah, exactly. Be happy, bro.
Unless you're a bottom, in which case...
A bottom,
Yeah.
like as in he's on the bottom.
Yeah.
and he presumably as well has to be gay then as well.
Yeah. That's what
We're
I'm
making
talking
a
about,
few
a gay bottom.
assumptions here.
I'm
Right.
saying if you... Then, you might
Yes.
actually see that.
Right.
But otherwise, you're good.
Yeah.
You're good. So I did want to, this is a filmmaking podcast.
Yeah. Well, good section, guys. Make sure you give us more topics for next week.
So I watched a little film called Terminator Genysis. the
Now,
other night.
why would you do that, guy?
Well, because I'm a fan of the Terminator franchise.
Well, yeah, we were all fans of it until the third one.
Now, what about the third one enraged you? What was it that was wrong for you about the third one?
Well, it seemed to me that they were taking the piss out of the other ones too soon.
Yep.
Like it hadn't really been long enough that they could have Arnie walking around in like a gay club,
Yep.
in like bondage gear.
Yeah.
Like that was too much of a spoof, It was too much of a spoof taking the piss out of a good film.
He never actually wore bondage gear.
Isn't there a gag where
he goes into a gay bar, I think, and he puts on some fruity sunglasses.
Right.
But
the joke here is that he's going in to put
Yeah.
on like these leather gears, like like he did in the old one, except for it's a gay bar and all the leather gears are inappropriate. And I don't know, it's just like I was like, yeah, it's just a bit silly. Like it's kind of taking the piss too much from what was a really good film. It just seemed like, I don't know, just not really well done.
Yep. Did you watch Terminator 4?
Is that the latest one?
No.
No. I stopped at 3.
Right. Yes. Well, yeah. Terminator Genysis is 5.
3's the one that's got the woman in it, right? Fighting the woman.
Yeah.
Woman Terminator. Sexy woman Terminator.
Yeah.
That was the other thing that I was like, dumb. Like, why would she be a sexy woman Terminator? Why would she be? It's just so dumb, isn't it? Like, why? They've got to force some sexiness in it, so let's make the Terminator sexy. And I was like, I don't know, man.
Yeah.
I'm not against her being a woman. I'm against her being this like sexy.
She should have been like a
petite
full-on butch. She was muscular, but she should have been like a full-on like bodybuilding chick if they're gonna do that.
If they're gonna do that,
she should have been like as almost as buff as Arnie.
Yeah.
but just a woman.
Yeah.
but like, you know, really quite, Look, Terminator 3 was silly with the comedy, too much comedy, too much silliness in that regard. You know, the action was a bit mediocre. Obviously, they undid all the like storyline of the second one, which was very disrespectful.
Yeah.
You know, and it was just, you know, it was not ideal. I agree with you there. Terminator 4 was a big bore. It was just very boring. No Arnie. You know, you can't have the Terminator without the Terminator.
Yeah.
That is a real, you know, calling something Terminator.
I think I did watch it, and I hated that one too.
Yeah, calling something Terminator and then having literally no guy who is the Terminator, really.
Well, they had him when he was young, like a computer-generated version of him. Because at the time,
but even that he just walked around. He did nothing really.
Yeah, and at the time, the real Arnie was
governor.
Too busy being the governor.
Governator, so he couldn't do it, and so they just had a little kind of nod back to that, and then basically was all set in the future in the post-apocalyptic Skynet ruled thing, and you know, it was a lot of metal Terminators, and it was all about the old John Connor.
And I was cool with that concept.
Yeah, the concept was fine.
I liked that idea.
It was just the shitness of the film, and the dryness of the film. It was a little too dry. Well, look, the fifth one is better than 3 and 4.
Oh,
no doubt about it.
Good.
It's miles away from 2.
Yeah.
And I think that's the thing is, like, you know, sometimes you just got to know that you can't top something. You know, if there's a near perfect action film, you can't just go, oh, we'll just keep making them now. You have to go, look, we did it. We achieved the impossible. We made something so phenomenal that stood the test of time and all this stuff. We have to go, see you later.
Yeah, but it's the same old story, isn't it? It's the same old story. It's not about the story. It's not about the film. It's not about achieving something. It's about making money. Yeah. And obviously, you can do that. If you can make another 3 films after Terminator 2, and you know they're all going to make money because Terminator 1 and 2 were so awesome. So it just makes sense. That's why there's 8 Fast and Furious movies.
Also have this problem where now they call, like, you know, it's Terminator 5, right? But instead of calling it Terminator 5 because that sounds like a ridiculous cash-in, they call it Terminator Genysis or the Spectacular Spider-Man or the Amazing Spider-Man or Super Spider-Man, you know, instead of calling it Spider-Man 5. Because they're like, oh, that doesn't sound good, does it? And it's like, yeah, you're right, it doesn't sound good. Get some fucking original ideas and do something original, and then you won't have to worry about giving it, like, you know, too fast, too furious, faster and furiouser, you know, like, just fucking make a different film.
That's not how it works. It's business, man. It's a business.
So, you know, but I thought, you know, the biggest problem, and, you know, again, a classic problem with recent Hollywood films suffered from CGI-itis and blockbuster-itis.
I knew it would. This is why I can't watch it.
So, for instance, for example, you got in Terminator 2, you've got those nuclear scenes where she's remembering or she's having dreams about this nuclear war and the bombs going off and basically toasting the fuck out of everything, and it looks super scary.
Yeah.
It looks super disturbing. You know, you see her, like, you know, she's holding the fence and then she's just fried.
Yeah.
And they did it practically, you know, where they basically incinerated a model or a mannequin and, you know, like, and it was like, you're like, fuck, is that what happens when a nuclear bomb goes off?
Yeah.
Fucking hell. That is really alarming. And then in this one, you know, at the beginning, they open up with a nuclear thing. But of course, now it's all done by computer. And there's just such a distinct difference in, like, the physical nature of it, just the look of it. It just doesn't look right. And, you know, because they're doing it, they're trying to do it shown on a bigger scale because it's meant to be more spectacular, right?
Yeah.
But it's just so removed from reality.
Yeah.
And they've already done this kind of thing very effectively in a you know, a physical, practical way. And then you see this version and you're like, Jesus Christ, man. And so, you know, that I thought was, you know, a problem. And I thought, like, you know, again, blockbuster-itis, you know, very mild spoilers. They have a helicopter fighting another helicopter with the 2 Terminators in the helicopters.
Right.
And they're like, the helicopter's completely defying the laws of physics.
Yeah.
And like flying about in ways that helicopters cannot possibly fly.
Yeah.
Not really looking like helicopters.
The audience doesn't know that because they're all fucking idiots. They don't know that helicopters can't fly like that. That's just what they think. They think that can work.
Well, everyone does. I think that's the thing, though. I think, we're not giving people enough credit. Like, I think that people, when you see something authentic, it is meaningful, and people do go, fuck, that was better than all the other things that didn't look like that. But they're just not doing it enough.
There was some crap CGI helicopters in The Wolf of Wall Street that I watched recently.
Yep. Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Helicopters are one of the most difficult things to film. So it's the kind of first thing that becomes a computer, because they're like, well, so what? We got to hire a helicopter. We got to fly a guy. We got to get another helicopter to film that helicopter. And we can only fly it in certain places. It's obviously it's a dangerous thing to kind of operate and requires a lot. So they're like, fuck it, just chuck a CG thing in there. But they're not. They're very hard to get. I've never seen a fake one that really looked good.
Well, wasn't it Twilight Zone?
Yes,
where they chopped someone up.
There was a legitimate
by mistake.
So in the Twilight Zone movie, essentially, they were shooting a scene with a real helicopter, and it went too low, and it may have clipped a power line or something like that. And essentially, what happened is, because it was 3 different segments of a movie, and it killed, I think, 2 kids and the lead actor. So these were all the main cast. And it just killed them. Yeah. Beheaded them. Yeah. Just completely toasted them.
Yeah. And you can see the footage on YouTube. Have you seen it?
Yes, I have seen it.
You can see their wee heads flying off into the air.
Yeah, I don't know if you can quite see that.
If you slow it down, they put it on YouTube. They slow it down, and it goes. You can see the blades coming in, and then you can kind of see something which may or may not be.
Yeah, you see some debris,
half of a child's head flying somewhere.
But and so obviously that's why we're but you can do these things safely as well. And in fact, but. That's the kind of problem that it had. And like, I think that's the other thing is, like, if you're going to do visual effects, right, you have to set them up, when you're shooting. And this is the problem. Like, there's another scene where Arnie kind of falls down a road and smashes into a car. So he's thrown out the back of a truck, he rolls along the road, and then he smashes into a new car, and then goes, hello, nice to meet you, get out. Right, and
callbacks,
throwbacks,
callback,
and anyway, so you see him rolling down and smashing this other car, and it looks awful. And it's because the thing is, no one has ever thrown a Terminator, which is meant to be heavy, down. Onto a road and then had that smash into a moving vehicle coming forwards. Yeah, that's never been done. So when they try and create it in the lab, it just looks stupid, because it's like the laws of physics they can't apply, because they have because this thing isn't governed by any laws of physics. Yeah. And I think that's the big thing that CG is getting wrong all the time, is the laws of physics.
Well, the issue is just that they don't have the ability yet to truly do it properly, and I don't know if they ever really will. I mean, I guess they will one day have the ability to make it look seamless, like real life, where they've got the laws of physics down perfectly, where everything, you can throw a Terminator down the road and you can see him affecting the road, actually, and hitting the car and sparks flying. I just don't know if they're ever going to be able to do that, and make it look real.
But they would have got
via a computer.
A much better result had they thrown something very heavy
for sure,
off the thing, followed that trajectory, and like basically thrown a super heavy,
Well, you could have chucked a 44-gallon drum off full of fucking concrete, chuck it down the road and let it crash into the car.
And then use that as your plate. Yeah. And it would have worked much better. But, they don't want to do that, because then that costs money as well. So then you're kind of spending money on the practical and the visual. Yeah. And, they're cheap. Yeah. There was, but it's a problem, and, people should stop it.
So that's the conclusion. Hollywood, if you're listening, enough fucking CGI-tis.
Get enough blockbuster-itis, enough CGI-itis. Because that was the other thing that I thought about it, right? Is, if you'll remember Terminator 2, they had that thrilling chase where John Connor was on the motorcycle, and then the Terminator and his motorcycle picks him up, and they're getting, run off the road by that giant bus.
Truck, yeah.
Truck, sorry. And it's all very thrilling, and it's all super exciting, and it's all real.
Yeah.
All the driving's real. And there was nothing in the new Terminator, that was as good as that in terms of, like, their car chasey stuff. And it was because one is real and one is fake. So, and they're trying to top something fake with something bigger, but just faker. And it doesn't make any sense. And they sort of use that reference. And it was the same with the Terminators fighting. The best stuff in the Terminator 2, they're having these big brawls, and that was probably the best bit of it. And when the Terminators were fighting in the new one, that was probably the best bit of it because they had the least amount of CG crap going on at the same time. So at least you're like, oh, fuck yeah, these Terminators are throwing down, bro. But there was a 3-star. It was given 3 stars in the review that I read.
Out of
5.
Right.
I'd probably drop that to 2.5.
Yeah.
2.5 for my review. Can't teach an old dog new tricks.
Yeah.
Guy Pigden's review, Terminator Genysis.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Cool.
What else we got? Anything on your end? I've got one last topic myself.
Well, I mean, I just wanted to mention that this is a sober podcast.
Yeah. Dry July.
Dry July.
Dry podcasts.
And dry balls. Tell you what.
Fucking dry balls.
Pretty boring so far.
Don't say that.
Don't say that. No, I just mean July in general.
Oh, right.
July in general, pretty boring.
My July's been very exciting.
Still got 28 days left of it.
My July's been quite spectacular so far.
Yeah, what?
Well, I've just met a few people, and I can't really go into it.
Oh, all right. Hey, speaking of which, actually, somebody, Blair Martin, recently suggested to me that I join Grindr. Yep. Which is like the gay Tinder kind of.
Social experiment, of course.
Social experiment, obviously, so that we could then start a new segment on the show called the Grindr Files.
Yeah.
Where basically...
No, that's good. Social experiment of Harley getting butt fucked.
Yeah. For science.
For science. Scientific research. For the podcast. Just the benefit of the podcast. That's it.
And, well, because, it would be quite funny to put some pictures of me all hairy on Grindr and just see what I get.
We've got to do it.
Well, yeah, but what if somebody I know sees me? What if somebody I work with sees me and they don't know it's a joke?
You just be like,
I'm pretty sure anybody that knows me would know it's a joke. To be honest.
Yeah. Well, what we should do is you should take some photos with you real hairy, like in a couple of like kind of sexual, disgusting poses, and see if then putting those online gets you a good.
Well, I guarantee it will, man. I guarantee.
But from not like big fat guys.
Well,
like, are you going to get some hotties?
You mean hot guys?
Yeah.
Oh, well, yeah, I think so. I reckon because it'll be like, guys are dirty,
but we can
man.
see how far this fetish runs,
Yeah, but like, okay, for a start, I do think that there are attractive men out there that are attracted to bears. Like what you're into is not reflected in how you look. But also, I think that.
Guys are less discerning anyway.
They're less, yeah, exactly. They're just going to be like, it's just like on Tinder. Everybody's just swiping right or swiping left. Which way do you swipe on Tinder?
Swipe right for yes.
Good. Okay, so all these guys on Tinder are just swiping right on all the women and seeing who replies. It's going to be the same thing on Grindr. They'll just be swipe, no, too short, bald and hairy.
Well, we're going to look into that, and we'll let you guys know how that goes. Harley's adventures on Grindr.
On a semi-related note, our flatmate Rick found Aviagra at his work, which is like the knockoff version of Viagra.
Oh, right.
He found like a little tray of Aviagra, and he just thought it was funny, and then I told him, I was like, man, you could sell that because
it's worth money.
It's worth money because you need a prescription to get that type of stuff, So, if there's anybody out there that, I'm just saying I've got some for sale.
All right.
No, but like, so he looked it up and he reckons it's what he found is worth $60.
Nice.
On the black market.
Nice.
So, but it's too late. He's eaten them all.
Yeah, he's eaten them all and just whacked off in his room.
Yeah. I'd be too scared to try Viagra, because
What does, it can give you heart attacks and stuff.
not just that, but like I hear you get super boners that just won't go away. And I've had a super boner or two in my time, and I tell you what.
When have you had a
They're
super
annoying.
boner?
Yeah, what you're telling me? You've never just had a super boner when you're like sleeping, and you wake up and you've got a super boner, and it's like, man, I can't sleep, but I'm tired. I don't want to whack off.
Right.
I've just got a super boner that just won't go away. You've never had that?
I guess so. Yeah, possibly.
Yeah. Oh, I've had that, and that's given me some fear that if I ever ate a Viagra, I just have a super boner. Super boners. That might be the name of the episode.
Yeah, could be. So my final topic.
Okay.
Now, there was this article recently on the Herald about a Napier High School girl who was stood down. Who was stood down
Yeah.
because of a speech she gave so basically, everyone had to do a speech, and she did a speech which criticized the teachers.
Ooh.
And I've got this speech right here.
Okay, I like the way she thinks.
Yeah, and I wanted to read it out because I see some parallels here.
Okay.
Between ourselves and when we were at high school, and some of the stuff. But
okay,
this is what she wrote.
Are you gonna read it in a girl's voice?
No.
Oh.
It's too long. It would get very annoying. I'm a decently smart kid with some decently good grades, but sometimes I believe that with the essays, worksheets, and endless amount of study assigned to me each day, that teachers secretly hate me rather than actually wanting to help me do better. They most likely, if anything, really just do it for the paycheck. I'm not saying all teachers do, but the majority of them appear to be that way. I always think about how I do believe school is important, and however I don't believe most of the stuff taught there is. Do I honestly need to know what A equals 1 plus Rn to the second power is, go over the Treaty of Waitangi every single year since I was literally 5, or memorize the periodic table in order to get somewhere in life? Do I honestly need to know the structure of a seed and how it works and whatnot? No, I don't think so. I believe school should instead teach us more valuable information that we'll actually need for our futures. In high school, we should be learning about the real world, how to pay my taxes, apply for jobs, mortgage my house, buy a car, things that we'll actually use in the future. So far, I've only learned that whatever I managed to get done in a short amount of time isn't enough. What's that? You did your homework but didn't do one question because you found it difficult and you were struggling? Well, that's an unsatisfactory for homework on your midterm report. Now that's just not okay. What my point is, we all struggle and work and stress ourselves over things that aren't important in the long run. 2 years after high school, the majority of the students who've graduated have already forgotten anything they've learned in the last 4 years of their school career. Stressing myself over end-of-year exams because if I fail, I have my parents on my back, asking me why I didn't try hard enough, my teacher telling me I could have focused harder in class, and my peers simply telling me that I'm stupid. Ridiculous. I honestly used to love going to school. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and it made me happy to go to school to meet friends, to learn things that I never knew. But the minute high school starts, it's either you fly or you fall. Now, I strongly dislike it and want nothing to do with it. Some teachers are nice, and there are a good few who are genuinely nice and want to help us, but it seems that teachers are not willing to encourage and help me, or the teachers that are not willing to help me are all teachers of the subjects I'm not good at, and it also happens to be that I don't enjoy them. It's unbelievable how some teachers play favourites. They believe you can do better than your best. If they wanted me to do better, wouldn't they actually help me to understand? They wouldn't shove more work down my throat and expect me to have any trouble with it. I'm not saying to treat me special because I struggle in the subject, but because I'm a student who would like to learn things by a teacher and not a book. Actually, do the teaching that you were taught and you were paid to do. Don't just give me worksheets to do and expect me to take a test on a topic 2 days later. The school system is really screwed up. We have all these teachers that don't enjoy their jobs and are all angry about the cutbacks in their paychecks, making us feel like complete idiots and making us feel useless. Like it's our fault that we don't understand the work. Maybe some of us just don't understand it. Or maybe the teacher didn't teach it very well, but we're the ones dealing with the consequences of failure. It's teachers like this that make us students want to skip class and not go to school because we think we aren't good enough for the certain subject, like we are stupid and will never understand it. Teachers are paid to teach us, not paid to hand out a piece of paper with words on it and sit around and do nothing. I'm not saying all teachers are bad, and I understand that us as students need to make an effort, but our teachers chose this career and need to try and cater for each individual's education. We spend 7 hours, 5 days a week, plus extra hours on top of that going over work, revision, studying, completed unfinished work, and homework they give, working to please every single teacher. The least they could do is have some understanding and simply teach.
Good.
What's your take on that?
No, it's good. I appreciate her kahunas, man. I appreciate her kahunas for being able to write it, but then also to actually get up and give that speech
right in front of a teacher
in school, in front of the teacher. That's fucking epic.
Imagine that teacher's blood boiling as she listened to that, just going through the roof. Now, a little update to that as well. She was, quote unquote, stood down for that.
Right.
She was.
You can't stand someone down for expressing an opinion,
especially in a speech writing essay.
Yeah. So surely that's come back to haunt the school, though.
Well, it has, because this is now blown up on the internet.
Yeah.
A lot of people have read this.
Yeah.
It's been a big thing. She's been interviewed by the media.
Yeah.
She says she's got no regrets. The school has come forward and said, "Oh, hey, look, we never actually suspended anyone.
Yeah.
Like, let's not, we're looking to reach a solution."
Yeah.
There's no solution. The solution is let the girl go back to school, you fucking assholes.
Yeah.
Like, there wasn't a solution. Like, why did she need to be stood down for that?
Yeah.
But it does, it is that classic thing.
Well, what it would have been, though, was at the time, it would have been the teacher whose blood was boiling.
Flipping her wig.
And then, she goes to the principal along, she sends this kid along to the principal, and she goes along to the principal. She gives her side of the story. And, of course, the principal is on the side of the teacher. She's like, oh, yeah, okay, yeah, oh, that makes sense. Yeah, and they're not thinking this is going to go on the internet and become a big thing. They're thinking, oh, yeah, well, it was quite insubordinate, and, we'll stand them down for now and think about what we're going to do to them. And presumably this girl's a bit cheeky. She's probably got a bit of a history.
Well, yeah, although it's said that I think that she did have, like, she wasn't like a delinquent youth or anything like that. She was kind of like a pretty decent student who kind of just said her piece about this and then got stood down for it. But it does, it reminds me of our days. Our battles at high school. In fact, a very similar thing happened in 7th form. I don't know if you'll recall this, but we're all asked to write about, things that could improve the school. Like, what could improve the school for the year? We want to know, all you 7th formers, it was our final year of school, you have to write something and then share it. And we all wrote a piece. And my piece, I was like, look, I don't have to worry about this anymore. But, the giving out detention and punishing people for, having their shirt untucked is stupid.
Yeah.
So it's a waste of fucking time. One, it doesn't really matter what anyone's wearing. Two, you're forcing these people to sort of do, write lines and do homework on top of homework when they could just be doing their homework and doing their homework better. But instead they have to copy out something that they know very well.
Yeah.
Just mindlessly write something for you.
Impositions, they were called.
Yeah, impositions. Mindlessly write out the rules 1,000 times. That's not helping anyone. And basically that caused a big brouhaha when I wrote that. And I sat down with the principal and another teacher, and they were like, they tried to convince me to quit school.
Yeah.
This is the teachers. They tried to convince me to leave.
Yeah.
He was like, what are you doing here, guy? You don't want to be here. It's clear you don't want to be here. Look at this. Look at this, waving this shit in my face. You don't want to be here, so why don't you just leave? It's going to be best for us all. And I was like, you know what? I was on to them. I was on to those motherfuckers. I was like, you know what? School is shit, man. But school is shit for everyone. I'm not going to like it when I stop it, and I'm not going to like it if I go to another school. If you try and transfer me to another school, school's going to be equally bad there. The problem is the school is just bad. And, you guys do not do the right things. So I'm going to stay here, and that's tough old titties.
Yeah.
And I did.
Yeah, well, I got asked why I wanted to come back because
Yeah.
I for my 6th form I went away to the North Island for a year.
Yep.
And then I came back for my 7th form, and I wanted to slot right back into my old school.
Yep.
And I had an interview with the principal before I could just join. I had to go and have this interview with the principal for some reason, and she was like, "Now, why do Why do you want to come back, Harley? Is that really what you want? Look, I've got your record here, and she pulled out this like massive pile
dossier
of my detentions and my impositions and all that stuff. And she's like, look at this, performing a Charlie Chaplin impersonation in class. Well, why do you want to come back, Harley? That was your last detention. What, like it was, and I was like, well, I didn't really have anything to say. I wasn't coming back for the school. I was coming back for my friends.
You're like, I kind of just want to bum around with my mates.
Yeah, basically. I was like, yeah, well, I'm not going to quit yet, am I?
But just think about that for a second. You've got two, maybe not keen students, but two intelligent people trying to tell them to drop out of school.
Yeah.
So they're not their problem anymore.
Yeah.
And, this girl was essentially saying, like, here's the problem with what I think's going on at school is, like, the teachers are not hands-on enough. The teachers are not taking the time to help with people that are struggling in certain subjects. And, like, then that pressure goes back onto the student opposed to them taking responsibility.
Sure, but there is a very crucial factor here that we're not addressing, which is that the system itself is very, very flawed. Yeah. Everybody
so you're
has
saying
to...
it's the...
I'm saying it's
the teaching curriculum as opposed to the teachers.
Yeah, it is. It's a number of things. One, our teachers are underpaid. They, these are the people that are shaping the future of our country, and we give them $60,000 a year or something.
Good hours,
like that.
though.
Good hours, but I really feel like if you're going to be, why do the bankers have so much money? If you're going to give money to anybody, it should be the teachers and people that are. They're literally shaping the minds that are going to be running our country. The next, the future's prime minister is in school right now. Mm-hmm. Dealing with these teachers, so we need to give them, the resources and money they need. The whole education system needs all of that. But also, these, just the formula that we're using, this kind of cookie cutter formula where it's like, oh, okay, so you guys are all different and you're all individuals and you've all got different strengths and weaknesses, but that's irrelevant. We don't care.
Just learn one way.
You have to do this and you have to pass this, you have to do these exams in this order and pass in this way. And I don't care if your strength is dancing. You need to pass the maths exam, that you're not going to use for your dancing career.
I don't care if you've got a propensity for dick jokes.
Yeah, which is what they would have said to us. I don't care if you can turn any sentence into a dick joke, Harley. You need to learn your maths.
You need to learn it this way. You need to learn algebra this way.
So yeah, that's the problem though. That is the problem. It's not just in New Zealand. It's the entire basically Western world. Is we've got this wrong formula for teaching people. It should be a bit more fluent. I feel like it should be more like you assess the individual, find out what they want to do with their life at some point. Obviously teach them all the basics, but in high school you find out what they want to do, you find out what they're good at, and then you sort of help them develop that. And so you don't.
Well,
need
I wanted to be a professional
algebra.
wrestler.
Yeah.
How are they going to assist me?
Well, you know what they'd say to you? They'd say, okay, well, look, if you want to be a professional wrestler, then you need to learn about nutrition.
Yep.
You need to,
that's a good point.
You need to learn some
exercise.
sort of exercise stuff.
Athleticism.
Just a bit of biology, perhaps. Yep. Like these are all things that you're going to need to know because you are going to be training your body to be this perfect, athletic machine.
Good comeback.
Exactly. Well, that's the thing. Anything that you want to do, there's a science behind it. There's a way, a formula, or there are things that you need to develop in order to go there,
Yeah.
So yeah, like even if, I guess the issue would be that you'd have everybody putting up their hand and saying, I want to be a fucking actor, or I want to be a wrestler, and I want to be a rock star, and obviously they can't all be actors and wrestlers and rock stars.
That would be the issue.
But I feel like you could still work your way around this. I feel like you could still kind of loosen up a little bit on all this kind of rigid, you must pass these exams, and why the fuck did I need, I swear to God, I've used algebra one time since I left high school 15 years ago. and that one time that it came in handy was I was tiling the floor of a bar, which was, I just picked up a random job and I was kind of putting down these tiles in a bar, and basically every time the tiles kind of just clicked together, but whenever I reached a corner or a pole that was poking out of the floor, then I'd have to cut these tiles, and I'd have to cut them on particular angles, and in order to figure out the angle that you had to cut these tiles on and make them flush, you had to use a bit of algebra, and I literally was actually using algebra.
Right.
But that was like one time, and I never did that job again.
She did make a good point that after 2 years you forget everything that you learned.
Yeah.
And I would agree with that. I have forgotten every single thing that I learned in high school. Yeah,
I don't know if I've learned. I've definitely learned a lot more since leaving high school.
Yeah.
Under my own steam.
Yeah. Me too. So, yeah, it's very interesting. But, you can't be standing people down for speaking their minds, given a forum to speak their minds.
Yeah.
You can't do that. So I can't remember what school it was that, I think it was Napier Girls High School or something like that.
Right.
But Anella Pritchard, that's her name. You'll find in the good fight. Unfortunate. Why? What's
just Anella? Her name is Anella?
Yeah, unless that's a typo, but yeah, Anella.
Right.
Anella. Ooh, didn't really see that.
Anella.
Until you, this horrible person that you are.
Well, also, Pritchard isn't exactly, a nice name either. It doesn't have any sort of thing you would say, not off the top of my head. But, Anella Pritchard. That's, an unfortunate name. You should be angry at your parents.
No, but she's probably just called Nell or Nella.
Or Anal.
Oh my God.
They probably just call her Anal.
That's it. As soon as we start talking about high school, the old habits kick back in, don't they?
What do you mean old habits?
The old people just
this is what we
revert back into their former selves just as soon as we mention the word high school.
This is what we do on the Guy and Harley pod. What are you talking about? We could be talking about anything. I would have said that about Anella.
Yeah, disgraceful. So anyway...
Oh, suddenly he's Mr. Mature. Jesus.
But yes, so Anella, thank you for contributing and opening up the dialogue, the debate, and bringing your teachers to their knees for at least one brief moment. We all take a lot of pleasure in these sorts of things, and that is us.
That is the podcast drawn to a close. So. You know the deal, guys. Please find us on Facebook, the Guy and Harley Podcast, and send us through your questions and topics for next week. Also, search Pigville on YouTube if you want to see some of our videos.
Or iTunes. If you search Pigville on iTunes, you can find this podcast and write a review and rate it, which we keep forgetting to ask people, and they keep forgetting to do. Mm-hmm. Are the two related?
I don't know. I rated it, and you haven't rated it.
I tried to rate it. I don't know what happened.
Try again, mate.
No, I'm pretty sure I did. So yeah, do that. You can find us, get involved, and we'll see you all next week.
You've been listening to the Guy and Harley Podcast, proudly brought to you by Pigville Productions.
Laugh it up, fuzzball.